All right, D&D enthusiasts, we need to get a little creative here. Now, as a dungeon master, as you expand out your group, as you expand out your experience, eventually you're going to come across players that have experience fighting various monsters, fighting various encounters. They might be players from other groups, they might be people who have played for a while, or they might be your own group. Over time, you are going to throw various monsters, various challenges, various encounters. They're going to be reading the D&D source books. They're going to be looking at podcasts and other adventure ideas because D&D is an amazing universe. The community is an amazing place to exist with D&D. So as the DM, the challenge here is we have player knowledge and OOC, out of character knowledge. Character knowledge would be, I'm a first level fighter. I've heard about dragons. I've never seen a dragon. I hope to face a dragon one day. I kind of know what they can do based on stories and tales from paladins and faraway knights, but who knows if that's really true. The bard, I've tipped, I've given some coin. Who knows if that's really true. Then the first time I fight a dragon, I'm like, well, it has 78 hit points. It has access to magic user spells, levels 1 to 3, 30% magic resistance, breath weapon 3 times a day, fire, damage 46, evasion for half. It already used the breath weapon once as it passed by. It has 2 more. How the heck would your character know that? But as a player, if you've encountered a dragon before with a different character, or if you have looked through the monster manual or had some other encounters online, watched some podcasts, listened to some stuff, then you know it. And how do you separate it? You can't. It's very, very hard. I, as a player and a longtime DM, I do my best to keep my mouth quiet when there are people with less experience in D&D and we fight that dragon or we fight that monster where I personally might know what it is. I don't want to ruin the surprise. So as the DM, how do we deal with this? Well, consider the monsters in the monster manual. I think of it as monster shopping. It's similar to the rules. They're completely optional. You can change anything as the DM. And once you explore that, it is very, very liberating, very, very powerful to be able to see this. Give the monster more hit points. Give it less hit points. Maybe tweak one of its abilities on there. Pass it off as another monster. We're only level 3. Fritz would never throw a green dragon at us. Well, I could take a lizard and describe it in such a way. Well, okay, I guess a dinosaur. I could take a dinosaur and explain it in such a way that it looks like a dragon. Or, my favorite, is to take a monster and augment it with some narrative. The last 2 I used where the players were hunting this beast, and it was a saber-toothed tiger that was kind of imported from the northern lands and released into the woods, and it's running around and doing stuff. And naturally, it had snacked on some other adventurers in the narrative. So in that narrative, I explained it, or I kind of built the narrative in my DM notes, where one of the adventurers it snacked on was a rogue. And that rogue, besides being very tasty, had a ring of shocking grasp that embedded itself on one of the saber-toothed tiger's teeth. So now when that tiger, 3 times a day, bites down on something, it releases a shocking grasp. And being a ring of shocking grasp, of course, the wearer, in this case, does it say you have to wear a ring on a finger? Does it say that in the DM guide? What about, like, beings that don't quite have digits on their hands? And if they have more than 5 or 10, which one? It's immune to the shock. So now the players see that, and they're like, okay, giant cat, saber-toothed tiger, page 37, and then it's like, zap. Wait, what? You can't do that. Another one that I use in Dungeon Adventures, a little bit higher level, the classic, the roper. So we have this roper. Its intelligence is about average. It kind of can understand cause and effect, but it certainly doesn't have the higher intelligence of, say, a wizard or a demigod or something like that. It's just a roper, but it's been pretty successful. The caverns where it was located, these changes start with a narrative. It helps if you can think of a narrative on that. So the caverns into the Underdark here, used by a lot of different adventurers, used by some miners, used by some poor lost souls, and the Roper has accumulated a nice little treasure collection that it knows adventurers are attracted to. It's also over time realized through snacking on various magic users and wizards and stuff that there's these long wands, often topped by crystals or strange gems, that if it waves around, they discharge. So I have a Roper with a rod of force, or a rod of lightning bolts, or a rod of magic missiles. It's got a lot of Roper arms. It's got a lot of wands. And now when it activates, you have the players who are like, okay, it's this color, it has 4 arms, it has a central eye, it's immobile, so it's not a beholder, plus we're too low level for that. And so it's a Roper page 36, and it has this and this and this. And then it's like lightning bolt, magic missile, slow, cast a slow spell, cast of acid fog, paralysis, whatever it's going to be. That makes the duality of the counter, A lot more challenging, B, it messes up with in-character knowledge or out-of-character knowledge, and C, there's always that greedy player in the party. There's always that rogue that is calculating everything. So right away, they're like, kill that Roper immediately, because every single turn that we spend not downing it, it is discharging wands. And I've calculated based on the 4 wands that it is holding and their price with average charge in the Dungeon Master's Guide, supplemented by the player's handbook and the Manual of Tomes, that it's costing us 2,087 gold pieces per round. Put this thing down immediately, and of course I claim the first 4 wands. So it creates a lot of interesting dynamics that you can explore as a DM. So as you branch out, as you gain more experience, as your player group gains more experience, as you bring in hardened veteran players like Fritz here, change the script, change the rules, change the monsters, throw some unique stuff at me, keep me on my toes, because that ultimately is what D&D is about.